Super Bowl is set. We are reacting to yesterday's results right now on Fantasy Football Today in 5. All right, the Chiefs go into Baltimore and win it 17-10. The Lions go into San Francisco and almost win it, but the 49ers prevail 34-31. It was a fun shootout on Sunday night. Now we're reacting to it with some fantasy questions. Heath, who is the biggest winner from championship weekend?
I mean, if he's not going to retire, it might be Travis Kelce, just because he showed us that he can still be Travis Kelce. It's a remarkable game from him. But I'm going to go a little different direction and say Jameson Williams, a guy who I was very concerned about coming into this year. He had the injury concern. He had the suspension. Really hasn't been productive when he's been on the field. And he flashed just a little bit here in the NFC Championship game, a little bit of a hope that he could be maybe the wide receiver 2 for the Lions next year.
Yeah, what do you think? Round 12-team leagues?
I mean, it just went up for sure. Round 8, 9?
Okay, round 8, 9 for Jameson Williams. And how about the biggest loser from the weekend?
I mean, Josh Reynolds' drop or Dan Campbell's timeouts. I'm trying to think from an actual fantasy perspective.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. I mean,
right.
Kittle with 2 for 27 kind of reminds you 3 targets. What happens when Debo and Ayuk are there? You have to deal with these games, but it's nothing we didn't know.
Yeah, and Mark Andrews was hurt, so I don't think you want to hold what happened to him against him. Maybe, I mean, could it be Patrick Mahomes, even though he won, just because this defense is so incredibly elite that he's just going through his Tom Brady game manager phase of his career?
And they ran the ball 24 times with Pacheco, and he averaged only 2.8 yards per carry, and they still just committed to running the ball. And Patrick Mahomes has scored more than 21 fantasy points in one of his last 12 games. Ooh.
I had him at QB4 for next year when we did our top 12, and I would guess that I will leave him there. But what I thought when I was looking at everybody else having him ranked outside of the top 3 quarterbacks was that I was just going to draft a ton of Patrick Mahomes again next year. Because in our drafts, those guys won't start going until round 3. I'll be able to get Mahomes in round 4. I mean, unless there's significant changes, I'm not sure I'm gonna feel like round 4 is a bargain.
Yeah, you have to wonder about the Ravens if they feel like they need to have a legit running game that's not Lamar Jackson, and what that would mean for Lamar Jackson. And we were hoping that we would see that with J.K. Dobbins. But I don't know who their lead running back is going to be. Keaton Mitchell with the season-ending knee injury, right? So, yeah, how much does that weigh into to how we're going to rank Lamar Jackson, this team's aggressiveness at running back, basically?
It's not going to impact me. I think if they go into next season with a plan of let's take the ball out of Lamar's hands more, I don't think that's going to work out well for them. I don't think they have smart people there. I don't think that's what they're going to choose to do. So even if they go get like a Josh Jacobs somehow, I still wouldn't be concerned about Lamar. I just think the offense might be a little better. He's already getting his rushing touchdowns stolen by Gus Edwards and Justice Hill.
Yeah. What about Zay Flowers? Why don't we finish with him? 5 catches, 115 yards, and a touchdown. He was half a yard away from a second touchdown, which
greatest terrible game ever or worst great game ever? Because he had the taunting penalty as well.
So the taunting penalty didn't really end up mattering. You know, it was the same drive as the fumble, but you could say that, I don't know. I guess the fumble never happens if not for the taunting penalty, just playing that game. But yeah, that was bad. He made up for it, and then he didn't. Jarius Sneed poking it away. But he, you know, what did I say? More than 19 fantasy points in 5 of his last 7 games. But almost all of that was without Mark Andrews. The only game he played with Andrews was this past game, and Andrews barely played.
Yeah, he's a supremely talented guy who's probably going to go. I think he's going to be the number 1 option in terms of targets next year in this passing game. But it's not going to be a clear number 1 as long as Andrews is there. It's going to be a 1A, 1B situation. And the pass volume's probably not high enough to justify like hopes of a top 12 season.
All right, that's Heath Cummings. I'm Adam Aizer. This is Fantasy Football Today in 5. We'll talk to you later this week. Have a good one, everybody.